Right, moving on. Today, India has witnessed a landmark moment in its governance history. After more than 7 decades, the Prime Minister's office has a new address. The office has officially shifted from the colonial era South Block to a modern, purpose-built complex named Seva Teerth in New Delhi. Seva Teerth, which means a sacred place of service, is part of a larger Central Vista redevelopmental project. Over the past few years, this project has transformed the heart of the national capital. Rajpath was renamed Kartavya. A new parliament building was inaugurated and modern office complexes such as Kartavya Bhavan are being developed to bring different ministries together in one integrated space. The new Seva Teerth complex now houses the Prime Minister's office along with key departments like the Cabinet Secretariat and the National Security Council Secretariat. The aim is to improve coordination, increase efficiency and create a more modern, technology-enabled working environment. From the new office, the Prime Minister announced his first set of decisions. These include a cashless treatment scheme of up to Rs 1.5 lakh for road accident victims, a plan to increase the target of Lakhpati Didis to 6 crore women by 2029, doubling the Agriculture Infrastructure Fund to Rs 2 lakh crores and approving the Startup India Fund of 2.0 with a corpus of 10,000 crore rupees. The government said that this move reflects a shift from the idea of rule to the idea of service. With Seva Teerth, the message is clear: governance to focus on duty, development and service to the people. We'll understand what this means for our panelists who are joining us now. First up, Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee, former diplomat, with us on the program. Major General Dhruv Katoch, Senior Defence Expert, Director of India Foundation, also with us on the program. Mr. Sumit Peer, a known face and a senior political commentator, also joins us on the program. And last but not the least, Mr. Vivek Menon, urban planner, also joins us on the show as well. Okay, Ambassador Mukherjee, I'll begin with you. They say, naam mein kya rakha hai? A rose by any other name would still smell as sweet, is what Shakespeare said. But in our country, the imperial legacy of a number of buildings has been looked down upon as some sort of a ghost from the past which has hurdled its development. Do you think this infusion of new energy through these, infrastructure mobilization is going to streamline the idea of service vis-a-vis governance?
Actually, Vineet, you said a rose by any other name smells as sweet. My response to that is that a rose is not native to Delhi. It's a colonial flower which was brought here by the colonialists, and it would smell sweetest back where it belongs to, which is in the cold northern hemisphere from where it came.
Ma'am, you must realize it's Valentine's Day tomorrow, so you basically that could lead to a lot of losses. But anyway.
Well, Vineet, if you want to send me roses, I'll pardon you. That's fine. But
go on, ma'am.
I'm just saying that we moved from Rajpath to Kartavya. Why? Because Rajpath meant the regime of the Raj, imperialism, when Indians were not equals, where the white man said that his pet horse and his pet dog were superior to the Indians whom they had colonized. We have moved to Kartavya Path, and now we have moved to this great word, Seva Teerth, which means the same in Bengali actually, a sacred place of service. That is actually so fundamental to our civilizational norm, because service to the nation, service to the people, service to your community is considered as sacred culture and civilization of 2 millennia, which was looked down upon by our colonizers. I think it's a great day. I have served in South Block belonging to the Foreign Service. I've spent a huge amount of my career in South Block. I never ever thought that a moment would come when PMO would move out of South Block, like MEA must have moved out of South Block. When I first saw the changes in Kartavya Path, I thought to myself, I hope we don't dirty it, I do hope we don't spoil it. But I can tell you, because I go there quite often for my various meetings, it's still looking great, despite the accident which you're talking about in, I think you said there's been a road accident or something over in that area. But it's still looking wonderful. And I think that it was high time that we started renaming roads which will remind young Indians also of our own history, culture, and civilization. Our young Indians should not just remember India through the colored lenses of the British colonizers. It didn't happen to me because I am a historian apart from being a diplomat. So I know it all. But everyone is not like that. Most young kids these days are what you call nerds. They are only interested in things relating to IT and stuff like that. But they must know a little bit about their history. And what better way of doing it than to change the names to remind them psychologically through their psyche that wait a minute, this name, what does it mean? And they will automatically start to imbibe the actual history and culture of India before it was colonized and after it's been colonized. There's nothing political in what I'm saying. I'm just saying, as Indians, we should learn our own history and we should learn to be proud of our own history. That's all I'm saying. And that has not yet happened because I meet so many kids these days. They don't know where Gandhiji was born. They don't know when he was assassinated. They don't know who assassinated him. It is amazing because such things beyond a certain grade in school, I understand, are not taught anymore. I am all for maths and IT, but I think kids have to know their own history, culture, and civilization, particularly if it's a colonized nation of 188 years. Otherwise, to quote a famous German philosopher, Hegel, who said, if you don't know your own history, history can repeat itself. Not, Vineet, I did not choose a Brit, I chose a German. Thank you, Vineet.
You're quite right about that, ma'am. If you don't know your history, you will be cursed to repeat it, is how the saying goes. General Katoch, the Prime Minister also said a very important thing. He said, it's okay to, be proud about where India is today. It's okay to gloat about the fact that we are the fourth largest economy. We are doing this, we're doing that. But all of that means nothing. He said it himself. If the right development is not reaching the people who matter, the people who in fact run this country in the shadows. And this new establishment today, this new edifice is perhaps also a reminder for the bureaucracy that a lot needs to be done. Though a lot of water is under the bridge, India is still not at the stage of 27, a vision which the Prime Minister has kept in mind in almost all of his developmental projects.
Thank you, Vineet. Vineet, let me start off by saying, that I have to, the ambassador talked about the name and so did you. Names are very important. You give a person a name, you have given that person a reputation. If there's a very bright kid and you keep calling him stupid, he starts becoming stupid. And there is a kid who's a coward and you keep telling him you're a brave boy, you're a brave boy, or you're a brave girl. Imagine how that change takes place. Names are important. A rose by any name may smell as sweet. That's okay, but there is a difference. If you start calling a rose a thorn, over a period of time, that image of a thorn will get implanted with the image of the rose. And I think that is something we need to change. This decolonization, I think, is very important, which is why when the PMO's complex is Seva Teerth, every time when you write that address, Seva Teerth, I think that is whether that Seva comes in or not, we will see. That is the focus. But if you don't have that focus, it will never come. This very question of Viksit Bharat 2047, once the first time the word was used that, we want to be a developed country by 2047, I know a large number of people were laughing. They were so sarcastic about the whole thing. Today, no more. Today, it has become an accepted part of our vocabulary because there is a vision and there is a goal. And that vision and goal has been given by a word. Words are important. as far as the you know the question of the bureaucracy is concerned, one, they have got a better environment to work. Now files don't have to move from one point to the other, where people have to take a cab and a whole day is wasted when a file has to move from one office to the other. Now I think it can be done instantaneously. When the modern office has been prepared, I presume they would have thought about it all, that the amount of paperwork will be reduced by about 80%, which is one of the requirements. But more importantly, once people start working in a cohesive environment, something which is very functional, it gives them a sense of purpose also. It gives them a sense of pride. And once you have that sense of pride, then you want to do something, you want to accomplish something. I think that is going to come about. Amongst the reforms which the Prime Minister has done and his cabinet has done, they've been tremendous. I think the last reform which remains, and this is my personal view, is reforming the bureaucracy. That remains the biggest stumbling block. And unless we can actually reform the bureaucracy and make it accountable to the people, I think we are still running into very great deals of, that achieving that goal of Viksit Bharat by 2047 will become that more challenging. That is why you have, if a bureaucrat, what makes that bureaucrat think that he can close down a stadium to walk his dog? I don't mind the question of walking the dog and all that. That's not the point. It is the thought behind it. That entitlement, okay, I am so and so, I can do it. And I think unless that attitude goes, which I presume will go now, because once offices are integrated, everybody is in a sense more accountable than what they were earlier. So I presume it is going to make a change. It is a very good thing which has happened. It required great vision. And of course, the next speaker will be speaking about the city planning. It required great city planning, and I'm glad it has been done. Vineet.
You're quite right about that. Sumit, taking a leaf out of what General Katoch and Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee also said, of course, it's always welcoming, to shed that colonial imperialistic hangover, which is evident in some of these buildings. But, the fact of the matter is that the bureaucracy in our country is up for an overhaul. And, the Prime Minister time and again has reiterated this message, be his inaugural speech in 2014, be it again in 2019. He's talked about the people at the grassroots levels, people who are on the ground, capable of making changes, not moving and galvanizing resources at the speed at which they should. It's been quite some time since we've been independent, and what the improvement the public at large is asking for is basic. Nobody's asking for EV chargers in every road. It's the basic that is being demanded here. What do you think this particular development will do in light of this larger thought?
Vinny, thank you for having me on your show. You have a very noble thought and you have put a very pertinent question. How will this development do and what will it change? The first question I want to put in here as my argument, when British left us after they siphoned 45 trillion from our economy and left us with the age of 42 years average age, 22% literacy, and this country was down to go down the peril, our GDP was $213 billion. Now we are talking of 23 and 28 and 29 trillion, right? None of us lives in a 120-year-old makan. None of us uses a 100-year-old car or a 100-year-old phone. Now, how do you expect the India, who is a superpower by the latest ratings, was the third or the fourth largest military in the world, who by PPP is $19 trillion, and by absolute GDP is going to be the third biggest country in the world and is a superpower in making, is the epicenter of today's geopolitics. Now, you have the biggest decision makers of the biggest election conducted ever on planet Earth go to a building which is 120 years old, and you expect them to from there say how beautiful and how great we are. We could get the Mangalyaan right in first go. We can do the wonders. We can make these MIRV missiles. We can make these nuclear submarines. We can do pretty much everything. But when it comes to my office and when it comes to the staircase and when it comes to building, I have to be in love with my British heritage and British imperialistic hangover what they had left for us. It was a trap. It was a trap to make you feel, to make you believe, look, there's a limit. It's like putting a fish in a tank. It was a big tank, but you are born there, you will not go beyond that tank. But if you put fish in a sea, then only you realize how big the sea is. Though in a tank you will survive. That is what these imperial buildings in. Why were they made on Raisina Hill? Because Raisina Hill is the tallest place in Delhi. From Puri, Delhi, you could literally see that building, and that you will use to give you the imagination of grandeur. And this is what the British did, and this is how high and mighty we were. When the Honorable Prime Minister says that today Atmanirbhar Bharat, Make in India is the name of the game. Today Bharat is not where British left us or looted us. Today Bharat is where people like us have worked and brought it there. Today Bharat is aspirational with 800 million youth. Today things are entirely different. So when everything is changing, when you have these apartments coming for 5 crores, you are selling the highest number of cars and gold in a Dhanteras. For the sake of God, why do you want to have an old parliament? You want to have an old North Block, South
Excuse me.
Even the places like Sena Bhavan, places like other places, they have to be revamped. They have to be as per the modern infrastructure today. Does the old buildings meet the security needs? No. Why did you have a parliament attack? Because it was not designed for that kind of a terror attack when it happened. Now today, the facility is 4-star Vineet, and that is the minimum which is required for the world's third largest economy. That is the minimum which is required for the country with the PPP of $19.3 trillion. Because how do you give comment? How do you show your image? What is your aura? Do you and me live in 120-year-old houses? No, we don't want to live. So it is all about mind. When the mind changes, the aspirations change. Then, of course, security, getting all houses together, And what General Kadosh rightly said, bureaucratic reforms are required, and even judicial reforms are required. We need major police reforms. If these three are done, then we are taking the country to a different level. And this old wretched infrastructure, if I may call it, should be seen as a satire on the country, should be seen as signs of incapability. The best way to do is what is being done with this infrastructure. Convert them to a beautiful museum. There's a French company they have done a tie-up with. They will convert it into a very Shandar museum. People will go, kids will go, okay, British were here, then we had this. But what they aspire is not 120-year-old relic. Is what they aspire is the modern buildings, is the modern made in India thing. And when we had Operation Sindoor, what saved you? The made in India Akash Tir. So when we are proud about everything which is made in India, when it comes to these buildings and these blocks of power and these blocks where you show the might of the country, why we live in the dinosaurs era? That is the question which we should be asking ourselves. We have to get out of that fixation. We have, they left us, but their shadow remains. The ghost still haunts us. How many of we need, given an option, how many of us would like to go and live in a haunted palace? Say, okay, let's go and live in a haunted palace. Nobody wants to live in. I don't want to live there. How many of us would even want to go and live in a palace with 120 rooms? Say, no, what will we do there? My 3-bedroom apartment is good enough. I don't want to go there. So it is a message what you send to the world. If a dignitary is coming and still going to the South Block, we will think, yeah, after 78 years, still do I need to go to that British era old museum kind of a building? No. So what do you take them to? You take them to the Kartavya Teerth today. You take them to Kartavya Bhavan 1, Kartavya Bhavan 2. So that is where the India is making its impression, and this impression will be seen and accepted by the world. Talking about the heritage or having a heritage is good for museums, is good for those to have symposiums, is good to have a part of the history and heritage. But even after 78 years of independence, it took a Modi to come. It took Modi's vision to really envision this and tell them there's something wrong. Before that, everybody was happy. They were all happy with those vintage things. Now, the thing is what is done is the right. This is what the youth will aspire, and this is what the youth will look forward to. And this is how world is going to judge you.
Okay, all right. You're quite right. You're quite right, Sumit. Let me quickly also get Mr. Vivek Menon into this conversation as well. Mr. Menon, Sumit used a term, rotten infrastructure. And some of this infrastructure is been rotting ever since before independence. It's a matter of debate. Why didn't some of the previous governments get into this overhaul? But like they say, better late than never.
Well, Vineet, let me just say this real quickly. I hate to burst your bubble, all of your bubbles. I think we have a lot of people who are extremely insecure. And I think the hypocrisy that comes across is extremely appalling, to tell you the truth. All of us are speaking in English over here, and I don't see why we are so insecure about the British. That is our history, whether it's the Mughals, the British, or of course going back here in South India, at least I'm speaking from Bangalore. If you go around here and you see the kind of temples that were built built by the Cholas and the Pallavas and all of them. I think we have a history that should not make us in any way insecure about who we are. So, to tell you the truth, when I come to Delhi, and I visit that central core of Delhi, I'm always, taken aback by the beauty of that entire Rajpath as the British built it. And believe it or not, it's not British architecture. It's got a lot of flavors of Mughal architecture. Now, of course, the fact that, that the government should need a new office, I don't disagree with that. I mean, yes, probably, it obviously improves the morale and everything else. But let me tell you something, over the past 75 years, what we have done to our country, especially in the past 15 to 20 years, when India has seen significant amount of growth, is that we've just not focused on the common man. If you see most of the cities today, they're being decrepit. If you see, Geeta Gopinath put it very well the other day when she said that pollution is the biggest problem here in India. And, let's not go too far from where we are. Go to Gurugram and kind of see the kind of flooding that's there, kind of see the infrastructure that's crumbling. Look at the Yamuna, that's completely polluted over there. And of course, and this transcends almost every part of the country. So you have a bunch of Modi bucks over there who are obviously, extolling the virtues of what he's trying to do by renaming, Rajpath to Kartavya Path and
Mr.
to all
Menon,
of that stuff.
Mr. Menon, this is not what our debate was all about.
Let's focus on what's important.
Let's not get into this. You're in fact taking this to a different level and a tangent altogether. I want Ambassador Mukherjee to come in. General Katoch, quickly, 30 seconds to you to respond to Mr. Menon. Go on, Ambassador Mukherjee, 30 seconds, ma'am.
By the BJP, and so that's where it's going
to go. Mr. Menon, hold on. Mr. Menon, hold on. Mr. Menon, Mr. Menon, you've leveled enough unsolicited accusations. Let Ambassador Bhaswati Mukherjee respond.
I would like to say that I served for 40 years in that building, South Block, which for me had huge amount of inconveniences, Mr. Menon. One of them was there were no ladies' toilets, okay? Because during the time of the Brits, nobody thought that women would have equal status with men and would work on an equal basis. There was one ladies' toilet for 100 men's toilets. Okay? Secondly, you are denigrating a process of nation building by bringing your prejudices on national television. I cannot accept it. I said when I spoke that I was not being political. I was talking about kids learning their own history. If you are proud of colonial history...
All right, ma'am, quickly. General Katoch, 10 seconds, sir. General Katoch, 10 seconds, sir. 10 seconds, sir. Can't hear you, sir.
I'll be very quick. Just because we praise something doesn't mean that we don't know that there are other problems. I mean, how can a person be such a... why can't people think, do I not know that there is a problem of pollution? But that doesn't mean that anything good which we do, we decline and we say only that. There are people who are still living in that colonial mentality. They are still slaves. And they have got a mindset of a communist mindset. They need to be sorted out. It is these people who are bringing down this country. And I think that is our tragedy.
I agree with you.
They cannot think, they cannot conceive, and they cannot imagine anything beautiful coming up because for them,
I agree
only
with
the
you,
British
sir.
can do
And
it.
Mr. Menon is one of them.
Tragedy.
And Mr. Menon is one of them. Right. Okay, we've run out of time. I apologize, Mr. Menon. I don't appreciate the way you conducted yourself on this debate today. But nevertheless, we'll make a note of that for next time. We take a short break. We'll be back.